Hello! How are you? This is Ishia Lynn of Women's Tent and Womb Dance. Hand on our belly, hand on our womb. Let's just take a few deep breaths together before we start the chit chat. Let me make sure my microphone is on. Oh, this is a glorious moment. We get to actually just be still and be together. And take a deep breath into your pelvic floor. Imagine those 4 points, the pubic bone, tailbone, and your hips. As this sacred circle, just breathe right in the center. And that's how we access our root, the power that comes from being grounded in our root. We're going to talk about that today. What is feminine power? What is sacred power? What is womb dancing? So, another deep breath. And sending your exhale all the way down through the base of your body and into the earth, like a root. Just imagine you're rooted. You're rooted, you're actually supported and nourished energetically by the earth. And you are. You really are. So my name is Ishia Lynn, and I've been tending to this call of feminine restoration for a good many years now. I'm 47. I've been at this since my mid-20s, and wow, have I learned a lot, as we all do, as we mature as women, as we mature as teachers and facilitators, and where we're guided to grow and learn in our own personal experiences, and from teachers and seasons and rituals, and so I'm here to just share it all with you. And today's conversation, sacred power. How does reconnecting and learning about sacred power as a woman help you release shame? How does it help you release anxiety? How does it help you build a positive self-image and self-esteem? And these are a lot of things. So what is this? Some magic pill? No, it's just that it's all interconnected. And much of women's healing is interconnected. Meaning when we start to look at and heal and awaken to one thing, it's like a domino effect. So sacred power, what I'm calling sacred power as a women's healing arts practitioner, as a pelvic floor specialist, and a priestess. So priestess, we are working with the energies of the physical world and the energetic or unseen world, and we're weaving or have a foot in both worlds. And so I do medium work. I am a seer. We can do shamanic guidance sessions. I do those over the internet, and happy to serve you in that way. Wherever I'm based, I do women's healing work with the womb massage, pelvic floor work, as well as shamanic healing. But on these internet videos, I'm really wanting to just share a bit of this work that I've been doing, because it's just been really empowering for women, and I really want all women to know about this, especially in the current climate of the Me Too and the Kavanaugh cases, and just, what do we do with all of this when we're noticing that there is this rise in feminine power, and yet there is also this huge well of grief, of healing that needs to occur, healing in being acknowledged for what's been happening, but also a re-empowerment, a reclaiming of our power. So sacred power, how is that different than power? I'm using the word sacred power because what is sacred to a woman and her power? And when the word power stands alone, it often can can be perceived through the patriarchal lens, which is power is money, power is hierarchical, power is the power to lead, and power to own things and control things. And this isn't the power I'm speaking of. So I'm talking about sacred feminine power. And what is this, and how do you find your way there? And is this just for New Age people, or who am I speaking to? Well, I'm speaking to anyone who wants to listen, who's curious. And I do feel that this applies to mainstream women and the 9-to-5ers and the women heading out for happy hour, because I do believe that all humans have a sacred dimension of their being. And that's really personal with how you want to express it or experience it or tend to it or leave it dormant for seasons or a while. But at some point we confront it. At some point in our lives, when a beloved dies, or we have a child, or something that starts to awaken us to this sacred dimension of life. So whoever you are, if you've stumbled upon this and you're still listening, this is for every woman who cares to consider this. What is sacred power? What has kept you from feeling good about yourself, truly loving yourself, truly being confident, feeling the miracle of your body, having a sense of belonging, having a real sense of control of your own mind and sexual, sensual experience of your own body, of feeling a sense of calm inside yourself and grounded, reliable intuition. So in the world we live in, we are often very busy, very busy, and lots of screen time, lots of chaos. And this can really jar our nervous systems and keep us in a frenetic state. So it's like this. The energy field can be like this, almost like static. Can you feel that? Ah! Anxiety. The energy rises up and it's just in the head and we're like, ah! Even if life is great, but you're juggling so much, everything has just come up. We're looking at the screens, we're thinking, we're planning, we're giving directions to children's and husbands and work related things, and on and on and on, right? Schedules. So the energy is rising. So in a woman, her sacred power comes back when we start to draw that energy back down into the root, the pelvic bowl. The pelvic bowl is this beautiful sacred bowl, this sacred space where sacred power is born. Why is it sacred? What makes something sacred? Well, in priestess traditions, we talk about the temples. We talk about the 3 temples, right? The body temple, the wild earth temples, and the structural sacred geometry temples. That's another conversation, but I want to speak to this idea of body temple. The idea that in a temple space, energy is refined, it's located, and it can be regenerative. So we can have that in the body, time in nature, and in sacred spaces that we create with sacred geometry, actual temple buildings. We work differently in each of these kinds of temples, and they have different purposes and ways of working with us. But when we're talking about the body temple, we're talking about working with right alignment and geometries of the body. So healing life force energy can be activated and flow through the body and start at the base, at the root and the womb center, the sexual center, and rise up and circulate. And this is how we have deep healing. This is how we have peace. And this, my dear sisters, is how we start to find this sense of sitting back and down in our beings on the earth and feel like we take our seat in this world and feel accepted and feel that we have a place of honor and that we are worthy and valuable. So it's a real beautiful thing to see the transition, the transformation of women when they start to not just say these words, I'm valuable, I'm confident. It has to be more than words, in my opinion. As a somatic therapist and a shamanic healer, it has to be beyond the rational mind. Affirmations only go so far. It really has to take root in our body. This is why we work with movement to release the habit contraction patterns that is holding on to these belief systems that we're not worthy, that something's wrong with us, it's shame, and that we're not good enough, this lack of confidence. So self-esteem and confidence. Self-esteem is more of our inner relationship with ourselves. How are we esteeming ourselves? How are we experiencing ourselves? Confidence is really when we step out into the world, do we feel confident to give our gifts, to be, with the people, sharing and being ourselves. And so both are important, and harder to have confidence in the world if you have low self-esteem. Sometimes it's possible. That's another conversation. So sacred power. I keep steering us back on. As women, we talk in circles, right? It's like da 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 da, and then back to the point. So the point being at hand is, what is sacred power? I launch a womb dance program every year, and in 2018, whenever you're watching this, but 2018 in the fall, we're doing a womb dance program that is titled this year for the first time, Sacred Power, getting to the root of sacred power. So feeling good in your body and really reclaiming the sacred feminine power. So these are filled with, so it's an 8-week women's group, but it's filled with practices and worksheets and videos and programs that you can start to really embody what we're talking about, which is to release the blocks and the emotional habit patterns of shame in the body. Shame kind of creates a landscape in the body. And so we start to reorganize the body, realign her, and we can start to get the energy flow moving in a different way from the base, the root, and open up this beautiful life force energy and womb wisdom, and teach you how to really feel and experience your intuitive guidance, deep wisdom inside you. What does that sound like, look like? And stop the real what am I doing? The mind, the revving mind. Does this mean your life has to change? It doesn't mean it has to change. It probably will change in little ways. If you ever notice, I've definitely been a busy woman. And, some of the rev that creates the anxiety and the perception of I'm so busy, I'm so in my head, I can't stop thinking, I'm overwhelmed. When you break it down in the day, there usually is some time there in between things to do these practices, because the practices I'm inviting you to do that I teach are real simple, like how we started, but they're impactful. And that's what I think is very important right now on the planet for women and all humans, is to not worry about doing 7-day retreat or 2-hour practice, but we need to incrementally add these practices in to help open our wounded hearts, or ground our frenetic energy, or to unlock the shame, so we can really discover real power within ourselves, a power that is rooted in what is valuable to our heart. So sacred power is that sense of knowing who you are, that sense of empowerment, of knowing there's nothing wrong with you, that you are worth and worthy of what you want and what you want to ask for. It's that sense of knowing how incredible your female body is and how she works, how a female mind and body works. Because see, we're living in a more masculine perception world, and that masculine lens, for better or worse. And I think men and women are all suffering this patriarch. We all need to change it, and we are slowly here. But most of the school systems and systems in the world, or at least in the United States, is created for masculine minds and bodies. And so it's been up to women to fit into that masculine way in order to thrive and survive and all of this. And so we're learning, people learn differently, they experience things differently, they have different needs, and specifically masculine and feminine beings. So why do women have this chronic lack of confidence and self-esteem? I hear women all the time, very powerful women, really putting themselves down or not feeling good enough, that rev of just never enough, never enough. This is power loss. This is power loss. This is a disconnect from your sacred center. Sacred power knows you're enough. Rooted in your sacred power, you know who you are and what you're worthy of, and that you're a beautiful being of light, and that you have a feminine essence that is just as valuable as anything else in your being. But our world does tend to tell us that things that are feminine, the body and emotions and this kind of fierce and passionate love and beauty and the effects and wisdom of color, that this is frivolous. So go to cities and everything's very gray and black and angular and masculine, and so when we constantly get this message, that this sense of nurturing, this sense of what is valuable to a feminine essence, this feminine intelligence is not valuable, and you're a more feminine essenced being, not just in your body but energetically, man or woman, then you start to devalue that part of yourself, or you hide it. This is just for me, it's not valuable in the world. So then when you give your feminine gifts to the world, like cooking or cleaning or doing art or interior design, or these more feminine creative types of offerings, or motherhood, we tend to downplay it and think it doesn't have as much value and power in the world, and so it doesn't have as much worth, and we devalue ourselves. Now, in my opinion, being a mother is the most important job. Mothers and teachers. This is creating the human beings that are leading the future. I don't know how this could, how could this be perceived as anything but amazingly powerful and important? Giving birth, being a mother, and teaching. And then feeding people. So these are like our basic needs, and why we are not valuing them as much as everything else that's getting paid millions of dollars is, in my opinion, very backwards. It's very backwards. And one of the things I say to women most often in my practice is to the mothers when they're feeling like they should do more. I'm like, if you parent your child well, there is nothing more to do. This is the most important gift you can give the planet. It is a stable, healthy-minded, conscious human being. Anyway, here we are, sacred power. What is your relationship to your pelvic floor, to your personal power, your inner power, that part of yourself that says, I'm worthy, I'm good enough, these are my gifts, that is radiant and bright and filled with possibility. So sacred power, sisters, is something that is every woman's birthright. To draw the breath into you carefully and gently and with so much gratitude. Breath is life force. Breath is the continuation of living a life in a body. And feel the breath move through you and open you. To take a moment to do that and feel it widen your hips. Feel it soften your belly out of this restricted tightness of judgment, of having a belly. Just letting it really drop in and soften the belly. It's so important. And then with the exhale, really letting the exhale all the way out, all the way. That's so important for anxiety. All the way out. Feel your heart relax down. Feel your ribs come in and feel your whole body surrender to gravity. Beautiful. And right there on your chair, even just rock side to side on your sits bones and start to let your energy come down. And you might discover that you're tired, that all that revving was giving you the illusion of feeling so awake and powerful, but really it's a false sense of power and energy. Really, when you drop in, you might feel an ache in your kidneys or adrenals. You might feel tired because you've been living on cortisol and fake energy. So just bring it down and breathe into any aches, any tiredness. Bring your hand to your belly and hand to your heart. And let yourself rock. And it's this sense of being the good mother to yourself. Of rocking yourself, of taking time to feel what's truly happening in your body. Noticing sensations, aches, messages. Eventually, as you become more in tune with your body and sensations, the more you can start to listen and understand deep guidance. And that's something we go over in the womb dance practices, is inner guidance. But first you have to learn how to slow down to even listen and be able to feel a sense of inner guidance. Slowing down, rocking, circling. I know watching someone on a video circling is like, whoa, so I'll stop circling, but you keep circling. You keep circling. Feel your sits bones, soft belly. Deep breath, and remember that full exhale all the way, all the way, all the way. Shh. Dropping the heart, letting the rib cage really decompress and release the diaphragm. It's your birthright to be aligned with your sacred power, to know the power of your womb, of your sacred center, of your feminine sexuality, and how to root with the earth, to really be nourished and supported. If you have questions, give me a call. Head over to womenstent.org or ishilin.com. I don't have the greatest websites. They're coming, but they work. You can find me. You can find links to my online 8-week program. You can do just the 8 weeks. There's 3 tiers, just the women's group video conference, or you can do the second tier, which really opens you up to the classroom and do the videos and the practices. Or you can you can add on private sessions with me, and we can go deep into personal shame or disconnects where you really want to dig deep and have some personal transformation with some specific things you're going through. It's always a pleasure to be here and an honor to take up airspace here. Thank you for listening. If you have questions about women's empowerment, womb or pelvic floor power and healing, please contact me, and happy to talk to you. Blessings. Woo! Stay in your power, sister. Believe in you. The world is depending on you. It's true. We're recreating this culture together. It starts at home. Bye for now.